Hi guys, welcome to Digital Tech Join. I hope everybody is doing good. In my last video, I had released a tutorial where I showed how to create a ASP.NET Web API in 60 minutes. I hope you guys like the video, and today it's part 2 of the tutorial where I'm going to consume that web API that was created in this tutorial in my ASP.NET MVC project. Now, before we proceed, I will just show you the project that was created, and I will just run the project and execute one of the API. So this was a project where I created a web API for adding, updating, and deleting students' record. So I in this tutorial also showed you how to test an web API using the Postman. So anyone who's new to ASP.NET Web API should visit this tutorial to learn how to create as well how to test the web API. Okay, so this is the API. I'll just try to execute one of this API and just fetch all the records. So this is execute, and here you can see all the records that are fetched is displayed over here. Now let's go ahead, and using the same project that I had created, I will be actually adding a new project inside the same solution, ASP.NET MVC project, and consume this web API. So I recommend everybody who wants to learn, who want to learn how to consume, to please watch the previous video and then watch this video, so get a better understanding. Also, I'll be using this. I'll also release videos on this, on how to secure your web API, how to create a JWT token, and how to consume that into your ASP.NET MVC application. So this will be a continuous learning. Like it will, I'll be creating a series of videos or tutorials on web API to which covers your basic as well as advanced topic. Now this project is open right now, and I'll just right click on the solution and add a new project. Now this will be ASP.NET Core MVC project template, and I'll just name this as school management. This is school management project, okay, which will have students. So this is 8.0. I'll just untick configure for HTTPS as of now and click on create. So now you can see both the projects are belong to the same solution, that is demo API. Now the things that we need to do is that in order to consume the demo API, that is students web API, into our school management project, we need the URL of this demo API. Also, we need the demo API application running. So otherwise we'll not be able to consume it and test it. So now when I run this project, what happens is by default, it will run only a single project, that is a demo API. Now we have a feature where we can run multiple projects, and for doing that, just right click on the solution, click on properties, click on startup project and multiple startups, select first start the demo and then your school management. Click on apply and click on OK. Now when you run the project, you'll see both the projects will now run in parallel. So you see this project is open, and you'll also see even this project is open. Now this is a URL that we need to copy, and that will be mentioned in our school management project. Also note that for consuming this web API, I'll show you two methods. One is very simple, and we can simply use a controller class and add all the codes over there, and then call the API. The second proper method will be like creating a common class, and then referring that common class into the controller, so that your code is clean, and also you attend a level of abstraction where you're hiding your code to be exposed in the home controller or in the controller that you are going to create. So the first thing you notice that in my demo web API, there is a model class that I'm using for web API. I'll be using this student entity, and I'll be using the same model class for my school management as well. Okay, now this is not duplicate creating a duplicate class, but this is attending more of level of flexibility. Now when I'm using the same entity in my school management, I'm actually exposing all the property that I created in this model for the web API. But you can always use create a entity class which will be inline to this properties, but you can always expose the limited properties. For example, in your school management, you might only want to give ID, name, and email address or age. Okay, so that is the reason I'm actually duplicating this entity in school management as well. The second method is that the second reason could be that tomorrow in my demo API entity, I might add 2-3 fields, okay, but not necessarily that I need that in my school management. That can be used for some other project where I'm consuming the web API. So that is the idea behind, just replicating that entity model in our school management project as well. Okay, so now I'll create. So let me just go ahead and add a class first, because this will be required before I start consuming. So I'll name it as student entity, and I'll just copy the student entity. So these are the properties. I'll just rebuild once. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to, in my school management project, I'm going to right click on the controller and add a controller, and let's name this as students. Remove the one, we let the controller be there, and just mention students over here. Okay, so this is my controller. Now I also have the URL with me, so I'll just copy the URL and just create first a variable. In my controller, I'm going to consume the web API and list all the students, whereas and also give the provision to add and update and delete the student records. So let me go ahead and write the code. So I'll define a variable, private base URL, and private string base URL. This will be the URL that I'll just run the project once again just to copy the URL. You see the URL is over here. I just copy that. So this is the base URL. Now I'm going to use index. Now before I proceed, I need to add a package in my school management project. It's so we are going to add this package, Microsoft ASP.NET Core MVC Newtons of JSON. Let's install that. Accept it. It's got installed. Now this package is used to deserialize and serialize the JSON output that we are going to receive. So we're going to use the index and just create an async method over here. So async task. This is my index. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to call the URL. So list student entity. This is my variable, students variable, and here I'm going to write the code to fetch the record. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to initiate a code over here which will say using where client. So this is my HTTP client, and this is new HTTP client, and inside the code I'm going to define HTTP client. Let me put underscore so that we understand this. Okay, HTTP client equals to dot base address equals to new base address. So I'll pass my base address over there, and remember I'll also need to append the basic API, because slash First, you go to your demo API class, and if you go to your students, you can see that I've appended controller name, and the API. So that is the reason my base URL, which is this, will have API. So that is why I'm appending API over here. Okay. So then I say HTTP client dot default request headers dot accept dot clear, HTTP client dot default request headers dot accept dot add, and this will be new media type header value, and this will be JSON. So you can see, so I can also use the library over here, system.header, so that my code can be much shorter. So I can just use this using, okay. So now I don't need this. Wait, using system.header. So yes, it's got it. So you need to refer this, not this one. Okay. So this is application.json, and then finally I'm going to call the method, that is HTTP response message, and this is get data, and I'm going to say await underscore HTTP client dot get async, and this will have the method name. So in my case, if you go to the demo API and go to the student controller, so this is the get all students. Guys, don't get confused. You will have to watch the previous video in order to get hold of that understanding. So get all students is a get method that it fetches all the record. Now once that is done, I'm going to simply say get data dot is success code, and if the success code is proper, I'm going to get the result in string format. So I'm going to say string result get data dot content dot read as string async and dot result. Then what I'm going to do is that assign this list student variable in the class. So here I'm going to deserialize this. So JSON convert dot deserialize object, and I'm going to use student entity and the result. If this doesn't happen, I'm going to say else return view. This is the error page that we will be creating. It's currently not there, so I'll create that as well. So quickly what I'm going to do is that create error page. So I'm going to say action result error page, and this says simply return view, and I'm going to just right click and add this view page. Okay, so we are not going to write anything as of now. Now let's get back to our code list. So this is a simple method that I use to consume that API and call the get students method. So let's create the I don't think so we had created the view for index. Let me just check. So students, no, so we have not yet created. We'll just right click on this and create an empty view index. So now you notice under students we have an index. So first let us run this code and see whether things are working. So, and let's also add this link over here in the shared. We go to the layout and there is a home button here. So we use the same home button, but instead of home button we say students. Okay, and this is not controller room, but this is students, and this is index. Now let's run this project. Now click on students and let's debug the code. So this is a base URL. So you can see a base URL, and then we are calling get all student. So here it says not found. Let us debug what is the exactly issue. And as I told you, if there's an error, it will redirect to error page. But let us find what is the issue, why we were not able to fetch this record. So we will go to our students, demo API students, and so this is a get student, this is a get method. Okay. So what we can do, since it's a get method, let me just make some code change over there. So guys, we'll just run this project once again and see where is the gap and why we are not able to fetch this record. So here we have the project running, and here when we click on that, we are actually calling this base URL, which is appending slash API, and calling the verb get all students. Now let me go ahead and check in the web API project students. So notice that first thing is that I have not defined any verb, like how I have defined get student by ID for fetching student by details. Here I have not defined the verb. So I don't think so we need to pass the verb. That was first point. Second is our URL does not have the, if you notice our web API project, we have API slash students. So here I have not specified that. So that could be the possibly issue. So let me just modify that code in the students controller of the school management project. So first I'm going to append students in the URL slash, and here since I've not given any verb to it, I think so I don't need to pass anything. Let's run the project again. We click on student. Here we now have students, that is API slash students, and then we don't have any verb defined. Yes, so now you can see the response is status code is 200, that is okay, and this should be success through, yes. And here you can see the result as string. You can see the result, we can see the result over here. We can see the text format in a JSON format. Okay, and now we deserialize it and convert that into the list object similar to our student entity. So now you can see we have 3 records and it is properly displayed over here in the entity format, and we are going to pass that same into our view, which we are currently not passing, and we'll do that. And once we do that, we should be able to, so this object that is having list object, I'm going to pass it over here, and now our list code is ready. What we are going to do is that in this we create the view together for all the methods. So now we will just ensure that our methods are working. So let us complete the entire code of the controller, and here our first code worked. Okay, and we are able to fetch all the records of the students. Now let's proceed and add a code to add new students record in the database. So I'll just write code over here. First thing we're going to do is that create an async task result, and this will be create. So this is return view. So here I'm going to create a view. So this will be empty view as of now, and this will be create. Okay, now we will add the forms controls in that view, but right now let's add code to add new record. So this will be public async task I action result, and this will be create student, and this will have student entity, and this will be student object, so DTO. Okay, let's call it student entity. Okay, so once we have this, we are going to write code over here. So we are going to copy the same code which is using, okay, and we are going to paste that. So don't get confused, this create, we have created a view which will add controls, later. So this is a create view where we'll have the form to fill in the new records, but once you click on submit, then this method will be called and this will insert the record. So after this method, what we'll do, that we'll start creating the view so that there's no confusion. So we'll create a view, we already created the view, but we'll write code over there to fetch the records and then add new students, and then gradually we'll edit and delete record as well from the view. So in the create view code, we are going to say create student view, we are going to copy the same code here. This all will be the same, this will be students and this will be JSON. Here there will be a change, so this will be HTTP response get, and this will be here. Okay, here there will be change, this will be not get async, but this will be client. Okay, this will be put async. Okay, and then we'll have to see whether I'm used any labeling for adding a new record. Go to students, and here you can see add students. So here also have not defined any label as such. It's an HTTP post, okay, and which is taking your object, entity object. So here I'm going to say put, this will be blank, and then I will have to pass the content, that is my student entity. Okay, and then once it is, the code is successful, I'll have to redirect the user. I don't need to do all these things. I just need to simply return redirect to action, and this will be my index. Okay, so this will, and then if there is any error, this will be error page. So this is a code that will actually create new records. I'm going to add a breakpoint over here, and then I will not be able to test it because I have not created the view. So let us go ahead and start creating the view. So the first view that we're going to create is the index that will fetch all the records. So that we've already created over here. So we'll go to students index, and here I'm going to define the views over here. First I'm going to refer my model class. So this will be model list student project name, so I just checked in my view imports, already there is a reference of using student management model, so we don't have to specify the entire name. So in the index I just mentioned at the rate model list and student, just in case if you face this problem where you need to mention the project name dot model and then entity, just go to view imports and make sure that you add the reference over here. So once I do that, I'll just go ahead and write the remaining. So I'll add a BR tag and then div class, container padding 4, and border, a div class row, so just I'm adding so that the form looks decent. Class text primary, this will be heading, and this will be my students. Okay, and similarly I will add one more where I'll add a button, and this will be call, and this will be text end, and do one, and this will be my button where I say new students. I'm going to say asp dot controller students, and then asp dot action. This will be create, the one which I view that it created, and this will be a button class btn primary. Okay, and I'm going to say new student. Okay, so this creates a header. Now I'm going to create a table. So table class table, this will be td tr th, this will be my unique id. So you will have all the properties defined in the model class. So it will be similar to that only. It will be id, name, age, standard email. So we're going to use everything. So let us just copy this. It will be name, age, standard email, and an empty tag. We want to place buttons over here. So this will be name, this will be age, standard, and then this will be email. So once we have this headers, we define the body. So we enter t body, and here we want to write the for loop for each where item in model, and we loop in the rows tr and ed at the rate item dot id, name, age, standard email. So this becomes name, age, standard email. So our code is ready over here, but before we just wind it up, we need to add two buttons over here, which is asp dot controller, this will be students, and then asp dot action, this will be create. No, this will be not create, this will be details. Okay, we'll be creating the method for that, and then we need to pass the id. So we'll have route and hyphen id, and we are going to say at the rate item dot I. Okay, so item dot id, and we have to pass here item. There is something to show. Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. I have written the code in the wrong place. This is my error. I'm just going to cut this and paste it over here. Okay, so now okay, and this will be a button. So this will be class btn dot primary. Okay, and this will be details. We want to add icons over here later on once we fetch the record, and we're going to copy this, paste it, and this will be delete. So this will be action delete, and this will be delete. Okay, so this is our code. This is our code for the entire view, index view. I think so we should go ahead and then run the code, and we should be able to see 3-4 records in the listing page. So I click on students, and here you can see the students that are there in database. It is fetched through the API and displayed over here. Now we are going to add a bootstrap icon so that it looks good in shortly. But before we do that, we will actually go ahead and now write the code to create the students. So now if you run the project, I have already created a view for adding new records. So I click on students. Now here the view is already created. So this is a view, but it doesn't have the form controller. So what we're going to do is that we'll place a form controller over here, and then we will test this code that we created to create new records. And then we'll add some bootstrap to make the form look good and professional. And then we'll proceed on writing code to delete the record, view the details and update it, primarily update it, and then delete the record. Okay, so let's add the HTML code for the view. So we click on create, and let me just copy the references and everything. Just copy the index code, paste it over here. Now here this will not be list, this will be just a model. Okay, and we don't need this table over here. We might need it for adding record, but not in this format. So first thing we're going to do is that we'll refer the form controller over here. So on the top of, after the referring the entity, we're going to say form asp.action is create student. So let me go and check the students controller. Create, it's just create, it's not student create student, just create. No, this is a controller, right? This is create student, sorry. So this is a action. Once you click on submit, I want to call this create student, and method will be post. Okay, now within this tag, I'm going to just copy this br, and I'm going to define, let me not create any confusion, let me just remove all this. Okay, and inside this br, I'm going to say div class container border 3.3. Then I will say h1 class text primary, and this will be create student, or you can just simply say new student details. Okay, then I'm going to add a horizontal line, and then I'm going to create a new row, and inside the new row first I'm going to add the validation summary, which should be model only, and class will be text danger, that is red color. Okay, now after that I'm going to say div class call to, and I'm going to add a label. This will be name class controller label, control hyphen label label, and point pt hyphen 2. Then we want to create a style, font size to 14 pixel. We will see how does it look and then increase accordingly. So this becomes my label. I'm going to copy that, and this is the control. I'm going to just change the call position to 10, and this will be not a label, but this will be input, and this will be form control. Form control. And since we have added the validation summary, let me just say span ASP.NET validation for name, and this will be class text danger, and then I close this one. Similarly, we are going to copy this entire thing for age. Okay, and this will be also age, and this will be age. Let's just quickly see how it is, and let me add the buttons as well, and then we'll run the project. So we are going to add a br tag. Okay, and then add control ASP not action index. This is our main page, listing page, and our controller I'm so sorry for this ASP. Students, this will be btn dot success, and this will be form control. Let's close this. This is one button, and this will be inside a div class called 5. Since we are defining 10 columns, so this will occupy the entire one, and then you have to copy that and create one more for submitting. This will be input type submit. Okay, this will be value, save or submit. This will be button success. Okay, continue. So now let's run this project. Now we should be able to see a form. So we click on student now, click on student, and when you click on this, here you can see name, age, and submit button. And there is some issue. We just figured out what's wrong with this. Let me just check it out. Somewhere the tag is missing. That is why this issue is coming. I check the tags here. There was an issue in the buttons. I need to create a separate closing tag. So here I missed that, and I need to do the same over here. So this can, in my ASP, the A reference, I was supposed to add a new tag over here, closing tag, which was not there. So after that, I was able to see the form in a proper format. So here click on students. So here you can see submit button. Now the lines are gone, but I have not named it. So basically here we have to name it. So in my reference, that is ASP.NET action, I'm going back to the listing. So I'm just going to say back to list, and this value is submit, which is already there. So here I'm going to maybe change it to button primary and success over here. Now let's see. Now click on student, you can see a name and age is coming. Now let's go ahead, and when the button is now coming properly, so let's go ahead and add the other fields as well. So we add this name is, so I'm going to just copy this, and this will be standard. And then we need to add the email as well. Okay, so now my form is ready. Let's run the project again. I click on students, and here you can see new student. You can see the form is ready now. We'll go ahead now. We can test it. So now we are going to add a breakpoint. I guess the breakpoint is already there. Let me open the controller, student controller, and this is a breakpoint. Yes, the breakpoint is already there. Let's troubleshoot this and see whether we are able to add the record through the web API. Now I click on students, and we click on new students. Let me add. Now if you notice that the button is not properly placed, I'll just add the bootstrap so that it equally spreads in this two column. But let's as of now troubleshoot and see whether we are able to add this record. Now click on submit. The moment I click on submit, create student is call, and in this entity you can see we have the age, email, and everything is passed. So let us go ahead and just see. So we are calling the API students, and this is a put method, and this is an entity that we are passing, and there is an issue, method not allowed. Okay, so we'll troubleshoot this. For now, let's do one thing. So this is an error page. I'll just first format that page so that offset Let me just see. I should be able to see now a proper formatting of buttons, and then quickly we'll troubleshoot that issue. Yes, you can see now it is properly placed. Now let us go ahead and see what exactly the issue we are facing with this method. So this is a code over here, put JSON, and this is an entity, students. Let me just check how are the methods passing. Maybe we need to add. So if we go to see, put over here, students post update. So there is post over here. So this is the method that actually adds record. Yes, this is a method that actually adds records to database. The URL as students, API students, and then we are passing the entity, right? So here also we are passing API students, and we are passing the entity. Let us go to the API demo and go to students, and this is add student method. And just copy this method once and go to our school management project, append this add student, and see whether this works. We click on submit. This time we have also added this add student, and then we're passing, but I think this is the same issue. So let me just see. No, so we are still getting the error for not found. Let me just troubleshoot once. Guys, I noticed one thing is that I'm actually using create student, and actually I'm using method put async, but in my API, which API that creates student, it has add students and it is a post method. So a very basic mistake, which we'll correct it, and we'll just simply what we need to do instead of put, we say post async, post as JSON async, and this should really work now. So we click on students now, and we click on new student, and this time we are going to add, and 15 years old, she's in 10, and elisa@yahoo.com. Okay, and now we click on submit. Now we have this entity having all these values. Now we should be able to, the URL remains the same, API/students, and this time this is post, and you see we get a success response, and then redirect to our index page, and we should be able to see Elisa. So guys, we were able to use the web API, consume the API, and fetch the records, and we were able to even add the new records. Now, before we proceed with delete and details, let's modify our UI and add some bootstrap elements so that it looks professional to us. So these are the two codes already there in place. Now we need to have details and delete code as well. So we'll do that also quickly, and then we will learn how to remove all this code from the controller. Okay, and create a separate class and just add everything over there, common class, and simply call that one liner over here to fetch all the operations. So we're going to do that. It's going to be a little lengthy tutorial, but believe me, this is very useful, and this is how it should be done. Okay, so let's add a bootstrap element to it, to our code. So there is something called, we can use bootstrap icon, bootstrap 5, and so you should be getting buttons. So one bootstrap example, get started with. Anyways, let's go ahead and form control forms. Yeah, this is a home page, and here you should be seeing icons. Click on icons. Yeah, here you can see. Let's say new. Let's find any icon that suits our. So there is this. We can use this. We can just copy this link. But before we do that, we need to first go ahead and add bootstrap library also. So this is CDN that we just copy. We copy the CDN, go to our project, go to our views and shared views, go to layout, and you just need to add this over here. We go to our bootstrap again. Now we select the one which we like. We can copy this and go to our project, go to index, and here go to top. We have created this new student. Okay, just you need to paste that over there. Okay, and let's run whether we're able to see that. We click on student. Here you can see now we have a small nice button over here. I can just zoom it and check. You can see there's an icon over there, new. Okay, let's similarly do that for our delete and details as well. Okay, so now so in the bootstrap we will search for delete. So for edit is something we can use. First we'll use edit, and we can take up this pencil fill, or you can just copy this. We'll go to our index view, we go right down, and now instead of details we say this, we copy this. Similarly we'll select delete, so we say delete over here, and delete we can see whichever we feel like good, anything which is archive, or maybe this one, or trash, or this one. Okay, just copy this and come back to your index and copy this over here, and let's save it and run this project. Here you can see now a nice button is there, and this button we can push it in the extreme right hand side, so it looks good. And I'll just, for that I'll just go to TD and say class and say text and hyphen. Okay, this will take care of that. Plus I think so I'll also change this button color now. So we say btn and outline dot, this is details, right? So I say success, and here I say btn outline danger. Okay, and I will change the same button color for new as well. So this will be outline primary. So now let's run this. Students, and here you can see, now we can see a good professional looking page view, having our edit button, delete button, and the new button, which is right over here. So similarly, we can add button colors here as well. Now here we have not added any validation. We need to also make sure. So when you click on that, you see, it gets submitted and it is redirected to our error page. I will actually also mention that in the error page. Let me go to the error page and just mention the error details over there. So simply this is a page where you can display the error information, or you can simply say there's some issue happened. So for me, I can just write over here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just say br br, and this is their class container text center, and this will be h2 class text danger and I'm going to say unexpected error, please try after some time. Okay, so now what is happening is that when I'm clicking on submit, the validation is not called. So basically I click on submit over here, new, and the validation is not called, and so we are having this error. Now if you look at the class that create view, we have added the validation, but we are not calling that validation class over here, which is right over here. Okay, in your shared view there's something called underscore validation script, so we need to call this, which I'll be calling right away, and then we'll be able to simply we just call this class, this one. I'll just copy this so that there's no spelling mistake, and I go to my view, create view, and here I'm going to add a section. So I'm going to add a section over here, section scripts partial name, and this is a slash close. So now my validation summary is in place in the create view. So when I click on students, I click on new student, and I click on submit. Now you can see the validation is there. Okay, now let's go ahead and complete this section by creating the functionality for delete and details. So the first thing we're going to do is that go to index, and now you can see we had created details and delete. So let's create a view first in the controller. Okay, we'll just close this, we'll just copy this, create, and we'll say details. Okay, we're going to right click and add view. So now this should be also having that ID so that we can fetch the details. So here we will be passing our student ID. So ID is defined. Now here we are going to also write code to call the API to fetch the details. So first thing we're going to do is that create a variable student entity, student details. Okay, and then we are going to call the same code to fetch the record. So here this code we are going to use, and details, we're going to paste that, Now here the URL will be the same. Okay, so this will be the base URL, students. Okay, and here get data, and this will be get sync, which is right. Now you have to go and check what is the method controller students, and here we have, so we have a label over here now, get students. Okay, and pass an ID. So I think so now this method will have, we'll go to the controller, and this will have get a sync. Let's put a dollar sign because we want to pass the ID. This will be get details, and this will be question mark ID, and we're going to pass the ID. Right. So once we get the record, we are going to check the response, and we are going to take the content, and this time we are going to copy this variable over here, and this won't be a list, but this will be a student because we are fetching a single record. Fine. And then we are going to pass this student details to our view. Let's create the view now. We say add details. Let me just check whether I've already created this view. Student, no. So I'm going to create now. Say add, and I'm going to say details. So this is a view. Right now I'm not adding any form. Let us just debug the code first. So we're going to run this project. Now from the listing page, we are going to click on the students, and now when you click on view, we have this details over there. So let us call this method. Now method is called, this is our base URL. Okay, and this is the ID that we're going to pass, and here you can see in the first attempt we got success. We are going to fetch the result. Now this is the result of Elisa, and we'll proceed convert that to list and pass it to our view. So now we're going to create a control. Now for that it's very simple. We have already created the controls in the create, so we are going to just copy that and go to our details, paste it. Now we have not created any action for so either you can click on save and again say update this record, we can use that. So we should create a method saying update, so we'll see that, but for now we will actually display the record over here. So everything remains the same, there's no change. We should be able to see the record over here. So we click on students, we click on view, and we should be able to see the information. We are able to see the information, but we need to change the headers, and also we need to save. So when you can use the same model to update the record. So let's do one thing quickly. We open the details form, and then first thing we are going to say view slash update student details, right? And now we need to create an action method also, because this is not creating, this is updating. So let's go to student controller. Now add one more method similar to create student. Let's copy create student and paste it over here, and this will be update student details. Now let's copy this, okay, and go to our details view and paste it over there. So whenever we click on submit, this method needs to be called, and plus we need to also pass the ID. So we say int ID and then the object. So now first, before we add further code, let's go to our API student controller and see what we have done for. So we have given a label to it, update student details, and this is a label that we can use it over there. And this is a post method. Get back to our school management controller. This is a base URL. This is a post. Now here I can use the label because it is already mentioned, and I need to also pass the ID. Since we also need to pass the ID, what I'm going to do is that use question mark ID, and here I need to pass the ID, correct? And this will be at the rate. Okay, so we can quickly run this and see whether it's working. Okay, now click on students, click on edit. Here we are calling the detail. I'll just change the age to 17 and click on submit. Yeah, so now update student, this is the ID. Okay, so it's not passing the ID because we have missed one thing in the view. In the details view, we need to add the hidden field, asp.hidden input, asp.for and hidden. Okay, so this will be ID and this will be hidden. So we click on edit. I'll remove the breakpoint now because it's working. Now I'll just change to 12 and click on submit. So now we'll be able to see that ID is passed. Now we're using post and we are passing the identity. Yes, it's success. Yes, we got success the first attempt, and we are redirecting back to index page, and here you can see the age got changed. Okay, now let's quickly also write code to delete the record. Okay, so in order to delete, we'll have a similar screen like details. So we are copying details and we're going to paste that, and this will be delete. Okay, and this will fetch. Let's add a view, add view delete. Now delete, so we'll just double click on details, copy this and go back to your delete, copy and paste it. Now the difference here is delete, here you will not be showing any summary, validation summary, plus you won't require the spam tag, you won't require this tag, you won't require this tag. Okay, and you don't require anything over here as well. And instead of value submit, this will be delete. Okay, and then this will be read only. All the input field will be read only. Okay, great. So now what will this asp.action call? It's delete student. Now we need to create that. So let's go to our student control again, and so let's first go to our student control of the API and see whether delete. So delete has delete student tag, and it's a post put method. Okay, I don't know why. Anyways, but that will also should work for us. So I'm going to say, what I'm going to say is that first I'm going to add a breakpoint over here. This should work. So let's run directly. So first we'll fetch the form and see whether the form is showing read-only control. We click on students. We click on delete. Here you can see the delete form is showing over here and it's read-only, and this code we need to write. Okay, so it's not view, it's delete. Let's go to our delete screen and say delete student details. Let's create this delete student method. Let's go to a controller. Go to school controller method and add delete student over here. So sorry, so we just copy this one, update student record, and then we say delete student. Okay, and this will be only having ID. We don't need to pass entity. So here now it's the same code, but we'll have to make it to put, because I used put method over there, and this will be delete, and then the ID, this will be null because we're not passing anything. Okay, but then we are getting an error. Put async. So let me just try put async. Yeah, this works now because we are not passing any entity. Okay, so let's do this. Let's run the project. So we click on students now. We let's delete Robert record over here, and here we click on delete. So this is an ID that is getting passed, and this is a base URL. This we are passing, and no, it did not work. We need to identify why this did not work, and it will redirect us to the error page. Let's see what is the issue over here. So let us go. I mentioned delete over here. Let us go to our demo API student control and see whether we are given any labeling. Yes, we have HTTP put as delete student, and here I mentioned as just delete. So let's replace that and now run that project. Click on students, click on delete, and here we are calling the method again. Yes, this time, yes, we got a success, and then we redirect back the user to the page, and you can see Robert is deleted. Guys, now with this tutorial that I showed you, I have consumed the API that I taught you in my previous first project on Learn ASP.NET Web API, and I consumed that API and I created a complete CRUD application using consuming that API, where I'm able to fetch the record, add new records to the database, also edit it as well as delete the record. So now if you look at the controller code over here that I have shown, as I mentioned earlier, my MVC project, that is ASP.NET MVC project, as the controller that consumes the API URL, and it is performing all the operations in the controller itself. It is calling the base URL, then it is using the same line of codes for fetching the record, then it is doing all the codes necessary, and this makes the controller very cumbersome. It has all the records code in one place, and does not also follow any abstraction. So in my next video, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a separate class, and I'm going to write code over there, and then simply call that code in the controller class, okay, hiding the main implementation. So in my next video that I'm going to release, I will show how to do that. Okay, so that will be my third tutorial on web API, and then further I'm going to also release tutorials for how to implement JWT token in your API and then consume that in the student management project that I've created over here. So guys, I hope you like this video, and I'm really sorry that I was not able to release regular videos due to some issue, but I'm back, and I promise you that every week I'll be releasing the video. And if you really like this video, please do subscribe and like my channel. Please help me grow my network, and do comment, and also do mention what all videos do you require, what all tutorials do you require. Do you require any tutorial on how to set up a DevOps in Azure, right? Or how to set up Cosmo DB in, and work with .NET project, everything, whatever you feel like, whatever is a wish list, please do drop a comment and email me so that I can create that. And thank you so much for your time, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel, like my videos, and do comment. Thank you so much.